Hey, what's up guys? Aaron Bennett here. In this video, I am going to talk about the 342 meeting with the creditors, the UCC, that was held yesterday or so, August 19th at 9 a.m. I'm going to go over the updates from a few lawyers that were actually there live tweeting, and then I'm going to cover what was missing and what they want more information about. So let's get started. So the first update I want to read from Otis, who is a big community member in Celsius. Here he says 120,000 miners are already paid for, and they're just finishing the facility this year. So they already have a lot of miners online, and like we talked about in the last time they were before court, Celsius's lawyers were like, hey, we don't want to stop this. We've already invested so much money into these miners. We need to continue. Then the UCC asked Celsius questions about its Bitcoin mining business under oath, which is very important, and got some answers. He said that the Texas facility will be completed this year, and the cash expenditures will drop dramatically. The mining facility is cash flow positive minus the cost to build the Texas facility. So basically this year, that Texas facility is going to be completed, and then all of their cash expenditures are going to drop a lot, thus making it more profitable and hopefully very profitable. It says they reinvested all their profits in the facility. That's why they asked the judge to sell their mined Bitcoin so they could reinvest. And that was actually approved by the judge from the last hearing. The judge said, yes, you can sell your mined Bitcoin to continue to reinvest that into your mining business. Once the Texas facility is done, Celsius is expecting to be cash flow positive by $100 million in around January 2023. So what is that, like 5 or 6 months? They're going to be cash flow positive $100 million. My guess is that it's probably a year, $100 million, which isn't that much, but it really depends on the price of Bitcoin. And that is part of this plan of reorganization, which we'll cover too in this video and definitely later videos, really has to do with what the price of Bitcoin does. If Bitcoin drops to $10,000 and it stays there for 3 years, they're not really going to be able to continue mining. And mining in general is going to be cut because the cost to produce a Bitcoin is significantly less than the USD value of that Bitcoin. So he also says, yes, this depends on the price and hash power, of course. All 120,000 miners are paid for in full. Miners have a service life of 4 to 5 years, and all the miners are brand new. The miners are 1 to 1.5 years old. Celsius's price for electricity today is 8 cents per kilowatt hour, but that is expected to be reduced to 3 cents or 4 cents in January when the Texas heat dies down. Again, this is all Celsius answering questions to the UCC that happened under oath. Celsius has a 30% profit margin now at today's Bitcoin prices. Very interesting. They're mining Bitcoin at $15,000 a coin, which again, right now the price of Bitcoin is around 20, but if that drops below 15K, all of this stuff gets very, very difficult to continue. And so much of paying us back and the reorganization really has to do with the price of Bitcoin. Because right now, essentially, Bitcoin mining is Celsius's main, if not only, asset that is worth keeping, that somebody would even acquire, that anybody would even care about, right? I mean, really, what else do they have? They have an earn business that may or may not have been unregistered securities, and they were selling those to people who shouldn't have been buying them. They have a customer base, but the Celsius name is kind of tarnished. So really, the Bitcoin miners are super important to everything moving forward. So now I want to go over a couple tweets from Thomas and also from David Adler talking about the same meeting. So Thomas said here that Celsius says to wait for a court-approved new proof of claim form that is better suited for the case. So again, there is no instructions right now or deadline to file a claim right now. And again, Thomas says here to only file a claim if the amount is different from the amount that is given on the schedules of assets and liabilities, which will hopefully be received in the next week or two. So Kirkland, the lawyers for Celsius, again understands that we, the debtors, want our coins paid back in kind, and they are working on that, but they can't give a timeline as to when they will start returning any crypto. So there's some talk about earn accounts, there's some talk about clawbacks, but really we're not getting any definitive information. For example, here they asked how much Paxos gold is Celsius holding, but basically like they can't answer that right now because it's a legal question. So here Thomas says that when asked what the mining business is worth, can we get a valuation? The CFO said that we're working on it with the counsel counsel and advisors. Otis said, like I said before, they actually gave some specific numbers about their profitability, how much they're mining Bitcoin for, which is like $15,000 right now. Here, Thomas said that there's still a little bit of ambiguity, but they are going to get us that information. So here, Thomas said that the creditor asked a question, meaning the UCC, and they said that the CFO doesn't think that the mining operation will actually be able to fill the hole. Ultimately, I don't know that Celsius has a clear plan on how and when they are going to fill the hole with Bitcoin mining. Going back to Otis's tweet, basically, if they are profitable $100 million a year, which I believe is what he meant by this, that would take a very long time at the current price of Bitcoin to fill the hole. If we have a $3 billion hole, or maybe less once you sell GK8 and you sell some of their assets, let's say it's $2.5 billion. I mean, that's a lot. That's like 25 months, I believe. But I guess in bankruptcy terms, I mean, 2 years isn't that much. And if Bitcoin goes up a ton, then they're going to be making a lot more US dollars for their mining. So we'll see. So here's an interesting question. The UCC asked the CFO to confirm that Celsius was paying out more rewards than they are generating in revenue. I mean, the answer should be no, because that would be unsustainable and that would be subsidizing things that Alex said they were never doing. They were always paying us whatever, 80%, hypothetically, 80% of their revenues. So basically asking, hey, are you paying out the rewards with other people's assets? More or less, are you confirming that this is kind of a Ponzi or sort of not sustainable, right? And apparently the CFO is like, no, that's not what happened. So now let's talk about some tweets from David Adler talking about the same meeting. So I'm just going to read his high-level recap of the proceedings. Essentially, Mashinsky, Alex, was actually on this call and he was put under oath. But David said he only answered questions about signing the petition. Every other question was answered by Ferraro, who I believe is the CFO of Celsius. He says, I think we learned more about the Bitcoin mining operation. Ferraro was careful not to answer questions about custody and loans. So now I want to read really quick before I finish this video some issues that need some more clarification from Celsius. Essentially, how much crypto is held and where and how is it stored? Are different types of accounts commingling together? Now, before I go on, this was actually a page in the Strato document 546, filed on 8/18. And also talking about the earn to custody transition, we need more clarification. Also, who is this undisclosed third-party loan and what steps did the debtor take to neutralize their lost collateral? Why was $648 million repaid and collateral returned pre-petition? What were the terms of these loans? Who was a co-signer? So these are, I believe, questions that the U.S. trustee is like, hey, we need more clarification. And the reason why the U.S. trustee is doing this, basically, they want an independent examiner to investigate outside of the UCC. And I think a lot of the reasons are the ones I'm listing here. There are a ton of questions. There are still massive literal holes in the knowledge of what actually went down. So we'll cover a few more of these. There needs to be more information regarding the $750 million intercompany revolver, including the origins of the loans, terms of this loan, and the uses of the loan proceeds. Why did Celsius liquidate its Tether loan at $97 million loss within 90 days of the pre-petition date? There are no details regarding the GK8 acquisition to understand the proposed sale of only the equity interests less than a year later. There is no visibility into the debtor's mining business. Yikes. And what equipment exists and what equipment is operational, valuable, or in transit. All right, guys, so that's what I want to make this video about. We got some updates with this meeting, and really there are just more questions. So they are looking into this outside investigator to basically get to the bottom of a lot of stuff that Celsius has not yet disclosed. And a lot of these questions that I just covered are serious questions, right? And whether Celsius is hiding something, whether they just haven't gotten around to sharing the details, I don't know. I'm just speculating. But we will see what happens. Hope you enjoyed this video. Till next time, guys, talk with you soon, and bye for now.